What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is going to be another Lost Upon one. It hasn't been too long since I've jumped on another because I really enjoy these videos. As always, if you haven't checked Lawrence out, go and check him out. Lost Upon, his link will be in the description. Awesome channel, about 250,000 subs. A British guy living in America and giving awesome content, so go and check him out. Today's video is going to be US living 4 things I honestly thought would be a bigger deal in the US, pretty much. So this is going to be, I'm going to go through these. I'm going to say whether I think they're going to be a big deal before he gives his answer on it and my opinion on it. So yeah, hit that like button. I'd really appreciate that, guys. You guys show so much support on these Lost Upon videos and I really enjoy them, so it's a perfect combo. Hit that subscribe button and let's see what potentially are the things which seem like a big deal from outside the US but actually aren't. Let's see what we got.
I thought this was going to be a big deal, right? You know the joke, why did the chicken cross the road? Well, he didn't, because he was too much of a chicken.
Yeah, we like a good chicken joke.
Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to things I thought were going to be a big deal before I moved to America but turned out not to be. Turns out that brevity wasn't one of those things. But before moving to the United States, or indeed any
that joke went straight over my head. Straight over my head.
country, you sort of paint a picture right here, not literally, that'd be really messy, of what that country is like.
Definitely.
Whether you've seen something in the movies or read rumours in the newspapers or fell for the lies of somebody called Chad on AOL Instant Messenger in 1998.
Yeah, movies are definitely going to be the biggest thing, which I'm probably going to draw from, and I imagine what Lawrence potentially, when he moved over there, drew from. When I went to New York, the biggest thing you've got to go off is movies and past experiences where you hear from people. It doesn't mean it's true. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of outside influence and you haven't got your own opinion, so it's all mushed up. You haven't actually seen it for yourself, and it's hard to get an actual opinion, so you expect these big things. 100% I agree with that.
That picture that you painted up here goes from being a Bob Ross to a Grant Wood. I have no idea what that means. But how can we believe the stories that we hear about the United States of America? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to move there.
Yep.
I did that in 2008, and while I was excited to move to America, there were certain things that I was worried about that in hindsight make me look really stupid. And so if you're British or from another country entirely and you're thinking of moving to the United States once it's safe to do so, then this video is for you, and also for Americans that want to laugh at me.
And also for British reactors who enjoy your content, Lawrence. Don't leave us out, but it's awesome content. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm not moving to America anytime soon, not even thinking about it, but I'm going to enjoy this video anyway.
So without further ado, here are 4 things that I figured would be a much bigger deal once I moved to America.
Tornadoes. Okay, yeah, we've done a lot of tornadoes videos. Again, it is a big deal if you live in certain parts. I guess what he's going to go into, my opinion, I may be wrong, we're going to find out, but yeah, I like spice it up and have a little bit of a guess sometimes. Is that he didn't realise how big the US were. He knew tornadoes were a big thing, but he lives in an area where there isn't actually that many and it doesn't really affect him. There is definitely some areas of the US where they get heavily hit. And I believe it's just going to be, you didn't actually realise that it's not all over the US, it's more Tornado Alley in certain places and like Florida area. That's my guess. Let me know in the comments if you guys are on the similar lines, and let's see if we get it right.
Tornadoes, yes, you might be thinking, what's this doing on your list, Lawrence? I mean, you yourself have talked before about how prevalent tornadoes are in the United States. And it's true, no country on earth gets more F5 tornadoes than the United States. Indeed, I remember it being a relatively frequent occurrence back home that on BBC News you'd often see footage of big tornado outbreaks in the United States and the devastation it left before it to people's homes and livelihoods. This, coupled with films like Twister and that really strong documentary in which a huge tornado results in the death of a witch, I'd built up this image of a tornado free-for-all. When it became clear to me that I was going to be living in the United States for a while, and particularly here in the Midwest, I just assumed that I'd see a tornado something like every 3 years, you know, more than I see my own family. This is really apocalyptic. And do you know how many tornadoes I've seen? 0, and I've been here 13 years. I've just realised that's an unlucky number, meaning that 2021 will be the year. Now,
well, fingers crossed he doesn't see one. But again, I suppose a lot of the time, if it's not in your home city, which is devastating, which you don't want it to be, you've got to go out looking for them. So it's a good thing he hasn't seen
It's a
them.
simple fact
Definitely.
that you will see more tornadoes if you move to the Great Plains. There are people watching this who have encountered several tornadoes in their lifetime. But if for whatever crazy reason tornadoes just aren't your thing, then some places are better to live than others.
Oh, 100%.
Now, while I haven't personally witnessed a tornado firsthand, I've twice had to take shelter amid a tornado warning, once in Indiana and once in this very building.
So that's scary.
In many ways, that's just as terrifying because it's the fear of the unknown, right? Think of Jaws, except instead of a shark that you can't see, it's a tornado. And instead of the resourceful Chief Brody, you are a British man in the fetal position. Apart from that, my fear of being swept up and finding myself in a field a mile away with some equally disoriented cows hasn't yet come to fruition. But while I'm on the subject of fields, that brings us on to this.
No soccer fields? It's a growing sport. It is a growing sport. So I think he's going to say that there is soccer fields. I know it is still low down in the US, but it's definitely a growing sport. You guys are getting a bit better at it, and maybe one day you'll be better than England. The Euros are coming up, though, so make sure to watch England because it's definitely coming home. But it's a growing sport, so there definitely is quite a few there because, again, from what I've been told, it's more of a kid sport in terms of, like, to the age of, like, 8 and 9. A lot of youth in the US play it. But then when you get to your sports, which require more of a team, because like in soccer, you can play on your own, you can play with a couple of mates if you want. But when you can go college, you get American football or high school, stuff where you need a lot more space to do. Soccer gets left behind. That's what it's been described to me, so I'm not surprised there's quite a few, if that is what he's saying.
Growing up in Britain, I was and am a big fan of football, or what the Americans would call soccer. And back in the day, I could have played for Manchester United in England if it wasn't for, reality. And while I never cared about the football versus soccer debate, I did have genuine concerns that America it doesn't care about this sport I call football. And that's fine. You've got your own sports. I understand that, even if I can't say the same about the rules. But my biggest fear with that is that I wouldn't be able to find anywhere to have a kick about, that goalposts wouldn't exist. That I'd have to make one out of anything or anyone that I could find.
A few hats,
my wife
shoes.
Wasn't up to it. And it turns out she didn't need to be, because the United States actually has soccer fields wherever you look. That's an exaggeration. You won't find them in libraries. And my initial fears that I would never play soccer again weren't realised. I mean, they were, but only because I ate too much pizza. And why is this? Well, there's a big interest in soccer at the collegiate level, an interest that seems to largely diminish by the time people are done with education, kind of like marching band. And now...
What can I say? That's pretty much what I was saying. As we grow up, it goes out the window, but you get people interested rather than school. It's another social thing. If you're not good at the other sports as well, sports is a massive social thing. It's awesome. So yeah, I was right on that one. I've hit the nail on the head.
Now from first world problems that never materialised to those of the natural world.
Deadly spiders.
In Britain, when it comes to nature,
more Australia,
really
I guess. But there's a few in the US.
There are no F5 tornadoes. There are no earthquakes over 8 on the Richter scale. And the country isn't known for terrifying creatures.
None at all.
Except for Noel Edmonds. And so because of this, it was always at the back of my mind that if I were to visit somewhere like Australia or the United States, I better watch out for spiders that have a little bit of red on them, not to be a hypocrite. And just like everybody else that was 9 years old in 1990, I was obsessed with the film Arachnophobia.
Okay.
In this film, a huge number of deadly spiders take over this American town, and it's up to Jeff Daniels from Dumb and Dumber to save the day. And here's the thing, even after watching that film, I'm not arachnophobic. I like spiders. But given the choice, I prefer to remain socially distanced from, a black widow, a brown recluse, or 100%. That stupid thing at the end of Stephen King's It. But when I moved to the United States, I genuinely found myself accepting that this was about to become my reality. That every summer I'd have to do my utmost to avoid the shed. I had visions of going into my drawer and not knowing that a sneaky black widow was concealing itself in my underpants. But
you know what? I can picture that. I would be a little bit mindful, especially the first years. We've done a few videos on it, and I don't mind spiders, but if it's going to poison me and potentially cause me harm, then whoa, get away from me. And knowing that there is that risk, a little bit scary, but it's like with anything, you've got to think about the actual percentages and possibilities, and I imagine it's extremely low, which is showing here that Lawrence hasn't really encountered them.
The thankfully, this isn't quite how it turned out because, again, after 13 years of living here, I've not encountered a black widow, a brown recluse,
not even
or a
encountered
hobo,
one.
and that's not me being derogatory. That is a genuine spider. Now, as with tornadoes, there are Americans watching this thinking, oh, Lawrence, you should come to my neck of the woods if you want to see a deadly spider. I don't! But it is true that brown recluses, for example, are more common in the south.
Is that because of the heat? I'm guessing it is.
Let me know in the comments below if you've ever encountered one and whether or not your trousers became equally brown. And so we've had violent weather, dangerous if misunderstood arachnids. What can possibly top that, you're thinking?
What we
and
got?
It probably doesn't come anywhere near close to what you're thinking.
I didn't know what a jaywalking is. We had this recently in a Lost Upon video. I can't remember exactly which one it were. You guys, legends, told me in the comments. It's just crossing the road when you're not meant to, in front of a car. A bit dangerous as well. And apparently it's a big deal. I've never known it as jaywalking. I've never really known it to be a big deal. But apparently it is. And Lawrence, again, thought it was a big deal. Apparently it's not. I think I just said apparently it is because the people in the video told me it is quite a big deal. But they don't really care. Now I'm confused. This video is things he thought would be a bigger deal. So it turns out they're not. I've completely mind blown myself. Let me know in the comments if that made any sense. In my defense, I've been out sunbathing and it is 11 o'clock at night. So that's my defense. But I'm a little bit confused. So it isn't a big deal. Let's see what Lawrence has to say.
Jaywalking infraction. It perhaps says so much about the small role that it's played in my life here that I've discussed it so little on my channel. But let's go back in time to when I was a wee little boy of 25. Back then, I'd visited the United States a couple of times, but I had absolutely no idea what jaywalking was. You know, it was a word that cropped up occasionally in films, but I just assumed it was a sport. And then in 2007, 1 year before I moved to the United States, I remember there was this news story coming out of America of a British historian who was wrestled to the ground by several police officers who had warned him against jaywalking. And it was at this moment that I realized that jaywalking meant to cross the road at a non-designated area.
Yep.
And the news back home was making this huge thing out of it. You know, if you go to the United States, don't jaywalk or you'll never come back. And it all seemed really extreme because back in Britain, we don't have the concept of jaywalking. So long as you look both ways to make sure there's no traffic coming, you can cross a road regardless of whether or not there's a zebra crossing or a crosswalk. I thought this was going to be a big deal, right? You know the joke, why did the chicken cross the road? Well, he didn't because he was too much of a chicken. At least that was the case at first. And after my wife had laughed at me 17 times, I started to get the impression that I might be overthinking this. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not an active jaywalker. As everyone should, I follow the rules of the road. Those rules do vary by state, so next time you're feeling paranoid, Google is your friend. But in all of the years that I've lived here, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, ooh, did you see Ashley? I think she was jaywalking. Better call the cops.
I mean, it's one of them. Just get on with your own life. If someone crosses the road and puts their life in danger, it's horrible to see and hope they're okay. Fingers crossed. But end of the day, if they're okay and you haven't witnessed anything, why be mad about it? As long as it hasn't caused a problem for anyone, why be mad? That's all I say. Just get on with life and be happy. But I do get the thing. And so it's not a big deal. Even though I did have him comment on my video saying it can be quite a big deal. For some people, it's not. Some people, it is. Depends who you are. And there's no issue if it is a big deal. No issue if it isn't. Everyone's different at the end of the day. And but yeah, in Britain, from my experiences, not an issue one bit. No one really. I've never heard anyone say it except from Lawrence in the other video. And yeah, just not a problem at all. So a bit of a new one to me, but it's interesting and awesome to learn.
It's low on the list of offences is what I'm saying, and it's definitely not a sport. That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments below how stupid I was, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that my videos don't get lost in the pond. Today, a big shout out to all of my patrons who make these videos.
We'll end it there. What an absolute awesome channel. Go and check Lawrence out. The link to this video will be in the description, guys. Hit that subscribe button here if you've enjoyed this reaction. I do these every single day. And yeah, I try my best to get them out every day for you guys. You guys are legends. I try to reply to as many comments as possible. And if I don't reply, I do a lot of the time see it because I'll be working something and it'll pop up on my phone and I see it and it's awesome and I take it in. I just don't have time to open it up all the time and reply. So hit that like button. Let me know in the comments for questions I've answered, questions I've asked. Hit that subscribe button and have a fantastic day. Peace.